All right, here we go. We're back again with another Sheep Farm podcast. This is episode 247, I do believe. Yeah. I keep forgetting. Get 247. 5 years, whatever, putting up with this. That beard's getting longer,
500
Chris.
hours of talking to you.
Beard's getting longer.
Is it? Well, we'll do it and cut it.
Yeah, I mentioned last week it was very Russell Brand-esque.
He's not fucking Russell Brand-esque.
It gets him that, it gets.
No, my missus said it makes me look sexy. I'm still waiting for some action.
She says sexy, not that sexy. We've got a large array of guests. Last week we had 2 on, there were 4 of us on. This week we've got 5.
I know.
It's like an asylum hotel. Dare I say. Just one room. Yeah. Just one room, one dinghy. Yeah. Rubber Dinghy Rapids. So we got John Cooper on. Callie Spell and Hank Critchley. Notice I didn't leave the lady till last. I thought,
You don't need that. You don't need that grief.
and I don't know what we're actually going to talk about tonight. We've got no set plan or agenda or anything like that. We're just going to go with it, man.
Well, you start by asking these 3 guys what they do, because I'm familiar with John Cooper. I'm subscribed to his YouTube.
He said that 3 times. He's really blowing smoke up your proverbial.
No. I said it off air, you dickhead.
He won't be able to get his head out of his earphones if he carry on.
Well, no, because I'm interested as well.
The funny part is, Chris, I actually said I'd watched him as well. Before you came on, that's why they were taking piss. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, I'm only being honest. You know.
Yeah. But I tell you what we'll do before we start. You've got a live event coming up.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's start with that one. Who wants to start?
Go on, Carly. Come on, the Carly.
Oh, okay. I think you're better at this, John, but I'll you can come and save me and rescue me.
By the way, listeners, this might take an hour.
Yeah.
Right, you ready? Prepare yourself. No, well, we're doing an event called Event 101, which is kind of a mockery of and a bit of a piss take of Event 201, which was obviously the exercise that they rolled out before they did the first lockdown. The pandemic, etc. And obviously, Room 101 is an Orwellian term where people had to go and face their worst fears at the Ministry of Love. So it was a bit of a kind of play on that. Gareth Ike, we've got hosting it. Obviously, we're going to be the hosting it, me and John. We kind of got together through just doing our podcast independently, but cross paths. But I've known Ant for quite a bit longer when I was touring up and down the country. Trying to bash the government's bullshit back to where it belonged, and to the hell from whence it came. So that's kind of what I've done for the last 5 years, decode the legal and the banking system, and we fight them on the beaches, but we fight them in the court. So it's just, we're just here to kind of have a laugh at the last 5 years, really. And I know it's like, there's darkness to it, isn't there? It's been a dark, weird, strange time, but it's also been extremely enlightening. And I think once you get to a certain level, and I'm not going, oh my God, I'm at such a level spiritually, but you just got to kind of observe it and just have a good old chuckle at it, which is kind of what we decided we wanted to do this event. I mean, me and John wanted to do an event, and John came up with this idea for these pop-up pure blood parties where, we'll welcome the vaccinated in, but we have to test magnets on them and kind of abuse them a little bit, which again is a joke. Everybody calm down. It's just a joke. Do you remember when we all used to be able to say things and no one got offended and, you could have a laugh. So that's kind of what we want to bring back, really, just kind of have a bit of a laugh. Some serious, topics to the evening and whatnot, it'll have it's not an agenda, but yeah, and that's kind of it, really. We've got
where's it going to be, Callie? Where's it going to be? Where's it going to be,
That's
kid?
a good point. Yeah, once we get going, Birmingham. So it's Birmingham on the 5th of October. We're all going to be there. Quite an intimate venue, so FOMO, get your tickets. We're doing the early bird run at the moment, so. Yeah, 5th of October, 3 p.m. What was the name of the pub?
It's called the Actress and Bishop, and we got the upstairs room there. So yeah.
Hand it over to you, John. You've got more of the details.
Well, I think that's it. That's the only last thing to say about that, isn't it? But yeah, I think you're about to mention though. We got a mixture of talks, interviews. We got Gareth Ike. We're going to do a little fireside chat with Gareth. Great guy. as you said before. And then we've got Abby Roberts, who's I don't know if you've heard of her, but she's like the freedom fighting, stand-up comedian. So bring a bit of humor and comedy to the whole proceedings. And we might be getting a surprise guest in from Canada, but we don't want to say too much about that because he might not make it into the country, because we can talk about him in a little while. But he's actually taking some very prominent figures to court. He summoned them to a common law court, which is really interesting. Donald Trump being one, and Pope Leo is the other one. So he's one of our guests that we've invited. But apart from that, it's going to be 3 p.m. till 9 p.m. Sunday the 5th of October. And just trying to get all our tribe together under one roof and have a laugh, have a beer, and shoot the shit.
I mean, it is interesting when we do our live event, say up here in Huddersfield. I mean, the energy is quite fantastic. Some of the most of the people there know as much or more than you do on certain subjects. I'm saying you, meaning myself. So you can't even pull the wool over anybody's eyes. Hence why all them people are there in the first place.
Absolutely. We were thinking just opening the doors to everyone in the downstairs of the pub, and we thought if we did that, they might not get the nuances of what we're speaking about so much. So
I don't just think the nuances, mate.
You might end up with a riot on your hands, John.
But we did, as Carly was saying, we did kind of toy around with the idea of, because we were very inconvenienced during the pandemic, right? We couldn't shop and travel as much as we other people go to events, whatever it was. So we just thought we want to do something a little bit subversive. This is where the idea came from, where we thought, you know what, we'll put our own event on. We're going to inconvenience you. We're going to make you have to queue in a different line or do some kind of tests to get in. So we thought instead of doing actual physical tests, we might make them do an IQ test. Something like that, just to kind of, the people that had the jab. And we said, look, it doesn't.
I'd never get in.
We might say something like, this doesn't stop transmission infection, but I still took it anyway, demanding others took it to save Granny. Is this slightly silly, very silly, or am I completely? And we thought it'd be funny just to do some kind of little inconvenience test before they come into the venue. I thought that'd be a nice way to counterbalance all the shit we went through and to kind of mock the whole thing. So that was kind of where that was the inception of the idea.
Well, we probably failed because Dom Jolly says we're thick as mince.
Oh God, Dom Jolly! I've had a few run-ins with him online. Have you guys?
Oh, really?
Oh God, yeah. He says to us, he says to me, "You're thick as mince." To me.
That's what
he says to me. Yeah.
I'll send you a badge. You've just had some badges, mate.
Thick as mince. We've got some thick as mince badges because I did a 2-hour prepresentation on him. I found out all his ancestry and stuff last year.
You didn't do all 2 hours on him, did you?
Yeah. I did an extension. You were there, Chris. So.
No, but when he referred to us,
too much wine. Which piss again?
When he referred to us, he said we'd done a 2-hour one on him up north.
It was after we'd released it on. I'd released it on YouTube, and people had watched it on there. That's the way he found out about it.
Right.
Yeah.
What was the main findings from that? Like, what was the main?
Well, the main findings were that his bloodline aside, most of his family. Well, firstly, his father's side of his family, his paternal side, owned a banking and shipping company in Lebanon, of all places. Mm-hmm. So they were bankers and shippers, and also diplomats. A lot of them got CBEs and MBEs from the government. Two of his granddad and his great-grandfather were locked up by the Ottoman Empire in World War I as spies. But while they were out there on business for the entire war, they were locked up in World War I. Also, his mother's grandparents ran what they classed as a spy house in down south called Menina House, which was done during World War II. If the Germans invaded, it was like a behind the lines spy house, and there were loads of them set up, and they ran one. It was a communications house. They had secret comms in there and what have you. But he stems from a Byzantine line coming from. So it's very prominent bloodline.
And he went to the same college as Bin Laden.
He went to the same school as Bin Laden.
You didn't find that, did you? I think they were already.
No, I did.
They were already out.
It was actually on his Wikipedia page. That
was already out there. Because I think people had accused him of that, and he actually confronted it and said he did go to the same college.
At the same time as well. So
in the cave in Bora Bora.
Just a few things. So what he said, we got a video of his rant about us, but what he actually said was that that we'd called him I called him an MI6 agent when I hadn't. I'd actually said his family were intelligence agents, But if anybody actually fit the bill, it was him, because he'd come out and done that anti-conspiracy tour.
Yeah. That's what's got us on it. Was the anti-conspiracy tour. Wasn't it?
That's what got me. I thought, right, I'm going to look into him. So he's from a Huguenot bloodline, Byzantine bloodline. There are a lot of good information.
I don't want to talk about Dom Jolly all the time, but what happened with you, John? Why did you get it?
Well, no, I mean, it makes you think the name Trigger Happy, maybe that's got a double meaning or something, right? Because that was his name of his TV show. Maybe
that's how he came back at us. He said when he used to do that secret agent in a park kind of thing.
Yeah.
He said, it's all true. Look, I am a secret agent. He tried to make a joke out of that, saying, but Dom never said he was a secret agent. What was your running with him about?
Well, no, because he was, I can't remember. He's just, his whole tour and everything else, bashing people that don't agree with him. And I just said, just using some logic, just some common sense, and saying something like, why are you giving people a hard time over a jab that doesn't stop transmission or infection? And, saying it's going to kill Granny when we know it's not. And he just comes back saying, oh, he just writes thick as mince, you are.
I'll say his story on that one.
He's got that on loop, that button that he just keeps pressing for everyone.
He was lined up to run the banking and shipping business and shipping insurance business. But his father said he wasn't intelligent enough. And he's written that in a book. So he wouldn't let him run the shipping. He went to the East India College, which is now called the Halliburton College. He was shipped over from Lebanon when he was 10 to live in a boarding school, which he hated. So much so that he's written about it. So it's a similar sort of story. But anyway, like I said, Chris said, we don't want to talk about that.
Don't talk about it, but just kind of go off
for a while.
off that on that tangent. Don't you find that when I look at Dom Jolly, I can see in his eyes, he's got that, there's something about in his eyes, and I always look for this, that pitted eyes, those kind of very dark, almost lifeless, soulless eyes. I see it in David Walliams as well. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
It's pain. It's like pain.
There's something not right there.
Something not right, yeah.
I definitely
No, you're right. There is always something about...
yeah, like you said, deep set eyes.
Yeah.
I can't believe people like that. What I did actually say was he has written about it. He's saying he would never put his children through what he went through. And I thought I said he's going to be commended for that type of behavior, which is strange because he's learned from his past. And by the way, his father had the same type of upbringing. He was shipped from up the Nile, through Lebanon, Egypt, all that type of stuff, over to England in the early 1900s to study at the Halliburton College, I believe. So he went through the same process as his father, which you tend to find with a lot of these people.
Well, you have to do the same thing or you totally change it, don't you?
Yeah. But it's interesting character, but they might not know that they're working for the machine, but they are working for the machine. Whether they like to admit it or not, they are, because they're pushing the same agendas, whether it's COVID, whether it's everything else that's going on, global climate warming change, all the above, they are pushing the agenda, whether they like to admit it or not.
Yeah, psyop bingo, isn't it? Like they can just pick which one they want and just go with it, and if they can traverse into the next one.
Yes.
Psyop bingo. Yeah. In fact, we were thinking about doing something like that at our event, like giving little bingo sheets out. When you hear the psyops, they can complete a line. But yeah, no, totally. Useful idiots, right? That's kind of what they do. But do you think they're consciously shilling for it? Or do you just think that they're just perfect vessels because they're unthinking conformists and don't really question anything?
I think all of the above. I think some probably are. I mean, if you think about Operation Mockingbird, something like 5% knew that they were part of that operation. Whether that's true, because it was an intelligence op, so you don't know what's true or not. But if it stands to reason that they'll only tell a few people, wouldn't they, that they were being used, and it was, dare I say it in Yorkshire, compartmentalised.
You're not allowed to say that.
You're not allowed to say that word if you're Yorkshire. Yes, you sound right. You might as well say going to mill. You
look like Wallace and Gromit when you say it as well.
Pass me the cheese and crackers, Gromit.
Element, and this might sound a bit weird, but of like that kind of dark-eyed, kind of like slightly not in this like a low-level kind of possession there. Lucifer works in mysterious ways, and it works through people. The dark, it's not just some horned devil. I think there's all kinds of different entities and all kinds of weird stuff going on, but. Obviously the dark is within them, it works through people, don't they? Even if they're not conscious of it, and then they project that out accordingly.
Well, it's even better if they're not conscious. I think it works better because you're reliant on them actually making a decision of their own, which it leaves it with the lap of the gods, I suppose. If they're not conscious, they're actually making these decisions. They're working on some kind of mind control, whether they like it or not. Just like banging pots and pans on your doorstep.
Well, that's it. 90% of the population are operating under just the subconscious mind, aren't they? So that's why they do what they do. They think they're just going along. It's the hive mind, isn't it? The majority are in that. And when you step out of it, you're a bad one, aren't you? How dare you think for yourself? That's terrible. And that's where we're at with 2020, wasn't it? What do you mean questioning the narrative? Just go along with it. Save Granny, for fuck's sake, Yeah.
Maybe we should do the old pots and pans when people walk into the event. What do you reckon?
I love it.
That's a good idea.
That'd be quite good, wouldn't it? Yeah, I just thought of that as you said it. That's quite good. Yeah, we want to do for this is kind of parody and satire of that whole time 5 years ago, and just mock it to buggery, and just if anything we can do, maybe a coat of arms or something, or throw the jab at the Hancock or something instead of tail on the donkey, but all these kind of ideas.
I don't know if you know, but I have been going through my notes from 2020 and 2021, writing a book, and as you're going through them, you do open up stuff you've forgotten a lot about, and Hancock was one of that part where he was saying his step-granddad had died in Parliament.
That's right.
And when it turns out, it was, I'd be surprised if he even knew him, but because it was let me get this right. His mother married his mum and dad divorced. She remarried, and it was the guy she remarried's ex-wife's new husband. That was his step-granddad. And he was pretending to cry in court.
That's right.
Now the guy had late-stage dementia, and he said he died of COVID in Liverpool, right? He was in a dementia home, and he had late-stage dementia. And the irony of all that is the Liverpool pathway, right, was whacking people for fun at that point. So his exact policies probably whacked his supposed step-grandfather. I mean, it's not even funny, is it?
That might be why he was crying. He might have been devastated that he'd murdered his own step-granddad.
Yeah.
He's another one that's got the dead behind, the dead behind the eyes look, Hancock. Absolutely nothing behind those eyes. That guy is just a vessel.
Well, Starmer's not got anything, has he? You look at Starmer now, there's nothing there at all. Just nothing. There's no character there either. There's just nothing.
It sounds silly, but there's none of these characters you'd even have a pint with, is there?
Would you? Hell no.
And they're running fucking country. You just look at them and think, I just could not hold the conversation with you.
No.
Like I said, there's nothing there, is there?
I'd like to say, fortunately, they aren't running country, but they're certainly the board of directors that are.
Never mind old fishhead. What's his called?
Whitty, Chris Whitty.
Yeah.
Chris Whitty.
Like a fucking goldfish, isn't
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
I mean,
all the employees of the United Kingdom Corporation. That's it.
Yes, exactly.
That's all we've got.
But I mean, Chris Whitty's another one, like Dom Jolly. They all went to the same school. His father got killed. He was shipped off over here to go to a boarding school. Right. Very similar to a lot of these people.
Like you said, though, Fatty, you can sympathise with a child.
Don't call me Fatty, Chris. It hurts my feelings.
You haven't got any feelings.
Damn.
You can sympathise with a child, but not the adult. Not when they're screwing over an entire country. Literally murdering folk.
Absolutely. I mean? By the way, Chris Whitty, I don't know if you've seen that clip of him, but he does not blink for, I don't know, God knows how long.
It's horrible.
Yeah,
Do you remember that?
Yeah. I remember that.
He's just there. I don't know how long it was for, but for the entire advert that he does, it's just these guys are. I was nearly going to say non-human, but that might take us in a different direction. But they just don't have that sentience, do they?
No.
Good old Imperial College London, spewing out their statistics and awesome factoids.
Yeah.
Yet again.
Which one were Professor Knobhead at? Ferguson.
Ferguson's calculator. Yeah, he's good at that, isn't he?
Yeah, Professor Knobhead. Jesus.
They
I mean, you
changed
look.
the Office for National Statistics then changed the way that they count deaths after COVID because people were cutting it onto the numbers. And for the first time, I think in like 50 years, they went, "Oh no, that's not right. We add up like this now," which is like 2 + 2 = 5,000,006. It's like, they literally just a fictional system. They just, at this point, they literally just make it up as they go along. That's what we're in.
If anything came out of it, do you know, if anything came out of 2020, it was the fact that it was so blatant. The scam, forget actual COVID, right? But the actual scam of life is so blatant. And there's no getting away with it. You can pull so many threads out now, which you might not have seen 20 years ago or 10 years ago. Now it's so easy because some of the decision-making processes that supposedly they make is so transparent.
I mean, they even admitted, didn't they? Dominic Cummings came out and said, after 20 years, in government, and said, it's literally scripted. We literally get that in before, and it's all just theatre. They've admitted it out of the whole house of them, and a few of them have, and yet the pantomime and the performance still continues, but it's for those that have eyes to see. But it's like, it was all hidden in plain sight before. Now it's just there. It's like,
well, I mean,
not even bothering hiding
Cummings
it,
is
but
another.
that's what they're going for, isn't it?
He's a definite operative. Cummings, he has to be because he was sent to Russia at the end of the Cold War to set up an airport or something.
Oh wow!
And he hadn't got any. He didn't have any money to do that. I mean, he's married into an ancient aristocratic family now. The Baron Wakefield. That's where he went when he was supposedly going blind from COVID. When he drove up to
that video.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
That's like a video that Callie's on about. Why did he? Why was that even? That was obviously let to happen, wasn't it? So people would see him confessing.
I think when people like
Parliament's a fucking fraud, but no one cared, did they? Anyway, so
nobody cares.
Anyway, really.
Well, when something lies so big, they've got to have an element of truth to it, so people can be drawn back in again. Because otherwise, they can't keep lying constantly. Otherwise, people will see through it. They've got to give you an element of truth or a bit of a slackening of, and that's what happens, isn't it? And that's probably going back to the internet and YouTube and things like that, why it was a bit of a free-for-all. And now they reined it all back in because they had to do, because lunatics like us were learning too much.
Yeah, they've reined it in, but like you say, they give those little release valves, a tiny release valve of truth, so that people go, oh, okay, fine, oh, wow. Okay, they don't have complete control over it, but it's these little controlled release valves is what they throw at us. They throw the dog a bone. These little clips are, okay, people are onto this. Okay, there's truth coming out. Enough to kind of satisfy us and make us not do anything.
Yes.
Well, it's like over in the States of RFK saying they're going to do something with the jabs. So that allows the people to think, oh, well, they're doing something then. It's all happening. And, the Messiah's saving the day, the golden guy. And it's literally Pied Piper shit, isn't it? They're just keeping people in line all the time. You think you've got a bit of power back, but you haven't.
And Robert Kennedy's another one of those people where I remember about 5 years ago, we did a podcast and I was saying, just be careful with Robert Kennedy. He's got all the hallmarks of basically an MK Ultra because he's been in so many clinics for drying out and drug abuse and things like that. All the clinics that he went to were all going back into the 60s, utilised for that type of operation. And he's drawn all these people to him. And you mentioned that he might be this, that, and other. Jesus, you get jumped on. And it's turned out that he is. He just turned around and take your MMR, take you this, take you that. Science wins. Yeah.
It's a little bit like, do you guys know the Operation Trust, from Soviet Union?
No, go on.
Well, it was basically they set up a fake anti-Bolshevik resistance organization, Monarchist Union of Central Russia, to basically placate the resistance, to say, look, we've got it, it's there. So everyone just sort of takes their eye off the ball, going, oh, we've got a saviour thing going on here. And it's to say, like Q, maybe what was the Occupy movement? Maybe they might have started off fairly grassroots, but they get hijacked, co-opted very quickly, and then everyone just goes, there's people doing it for me. I don't have to do anything now. I'll just trust the process. that kind of thing.
John, the arrests are coming any day. They're coming. He's dreaming the show. Any day now.
We're going to be served. The cavalry area.
Exactly. That victim saviour program, it runs deep in, the collective psyche, that, it's disempowerment, isn't it? So that, like we said, someone's going to come and do it for you. But
except
no,
for Farage, he's obviously going to save us.
Well, again, is Steve,
everyone except him.
Is it Steve Bannon who was behind Trump the first time? Is that, have I got his name right?
Yeah,
I think
he was supposedly starting all the Q shit off. He was this like a PR agent, what have you. Now he's sort of anti-Trump, and I think is he pro Farage or Tominski Rubenstein, as Lance from Rise Above calls him, Tommy Robinson. I quite like that. My favourite one at week is that one.
It was funny with the Q stuff, wasn't it? Because there was stuff, they were doing them things, well, they said they were clearly all in on it. It was kind of entertaining to watch as well and listen to people.
And the White Hats actually were part of one of the tribes, and they splintered. And some went looking for the baddies and some went looking for the goodies and we've been in this kind of war since type of thing. But the White Hats actually, the dark is the light and the light is the dark. So it's the other way around. So the White Hats were actually the baddies. So everyone's going on about the White Hats, but it's another inversion.
No surprise.
I was reading the other day on Facebook on I don't know if you guys have seen it coming through from the Trump's visit of obviously going seeing King Charles, he's called, isn't he now? I keep forgetting what he is anymore.
We just call him Sausage Fingers. Sausage
Fingers, yeah, that's the man. Well, apparently Trump is now King of England, and someone actually wrote King of the World, and I was like, I don't know how much more I can actually read of this without actually my head falling off.
Well, it wouldn't surprise you, would it?
Nothing would surprise me anymore, Dom. In this world, it's a pure clown show, isn't it? I mean, everything is theatre, everything is nonsense, and yeah, you could go anywhere with it, really, and believe it now.
And that's why you can't take it too serious. I know a lot of people get hung up on, again, religion, shape the earth is, whatever it is, right? You've got to take it with. We get comments on our podcast, like we have people on and people comment on the people you've had on, for instance, and say, I don't agree with that one thing, so that means everything they say is a load of bollocks. And it's like, what are you talking about? This is it's a discussion. Not all of us are going to agree on everything. We're having a discussion. We're like-minded people having a discussion. Don't mean to say you might go away after the podcast and go, oh, what? I think it might be this. You might change your mind an hour after.
Most
on certain subjects.
I say, to be fair.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
I've got
from your wife.
I've noticed this, and because I call it, you got on one side of the spectrum, you got what I call like conspiracy denialists, right? They're like your average normie, okay, who won't ever even look at something.
Dom Jolly.
Dom, yeah, thank you. That's it, yeah. But then I do think on the other side of the spectrum, you've got what I call conspiracy essentialists,
otherwise known as dumb twats.
Yeah. So basically, you've got people that will believe that everything is literally everything's a psyop. Everyone's a shill. Everyone's a shill. That anyone that you see on media is a shill. All of them. Every single celebrity is trans, bar one. Every single person that works at the BBC is a paedophile. Even the cleaning ladies.
That could be true.
And I just think it's like the two ends of the bad, both as bad as each other. To be honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. And it's getting worse. And I mentioned that, we've talked about this. In 2020, everyone were together to fight one common enemy, if you like, the government, yeah? Once they sort of let everybody back out their gulag, and all the cracks start to show that, well, you don't like my religion, I don't like your religion, and all of a sudden, or wherever it might be, I don't agree with you about this, the cracks start to appear. Because a lot of the supposed far right were anti-COVID lockdowns, weren't they? So, and the far right are an odd mechanism now. When I were younger, I used to be shit scared at far right. Now the far right, in what we're told it is, we're far right apparently, but so's Tommy Robinson. I don't agree with anything he says, or most of it.
Absolutely.
And so, what is far right? It's just another made up bag of shit, isn't it?
Well, during 20. Well, Callie knows this because Callie came to our pub. We actually signed for a pub the day they shut the pubs in the UK.
Not bad timing, that. Huh?
No, yeah, called the Crown as well. Called the Crown, Corona, and it was all. It was
It's
all
funny,
lined
actually,
up.
I'd actually put an offer in for a pub because I work as a chef.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and they'd held back, and it's a really nice pub in Cambridge, and me and this other guy put an offer in, and they held back, and then they agreed it like a day before lockdown. I think it was on Monday or something.
Really?
Like, no, I'm all right, thanks. I think I'm gonna retract my offer.
We signed in the afternoon, and Boris Johnson decided to shut everything down in the evening or something. It was like, oh, fucking great, and we were moving the next day, but we were fine with it in terms of a family. You know, it's like we were moving back to the village that we lived in previously. You know, the lad goes to school there and blah blah blah, and you know, so we were happy with it. And then during that lock-up period, the pub had been shut for a while, so I just cleaned it up. I just spent a bit of time cleaning it up and getting it ready. We knew it was bollocks what was happening. We thought, well, we're back in this village and we'll play the game a little bit, because once we open, we want to stay here. We don't know how long this is going to be for, so we'll play along. But when they brought in the rule of wearing a mask from table to fucking toilet, I was like, that's it. I cannot do this. I'm not treating people like cattle. It's just ridiculous. You know,
and that weren't that bad.
What did you do then, Ant, and what happened after that?
Well, we lost everything, Chris, to be honest with you, because we refused. We were in a village of 5 pubs, and we refused. When the lockdown came again, we kept the doors open at the back. So all my regulars, I gave my regulars self-employed contracts. I gave them badges, because the police were coming in, the council were coming in, you know, we were getting railroaded all the time, but the village itself turned against me, and you lose your regulars, you're knackered, you know, so they basically, they just saw me as a super spreader. That's what I was classed as. I was a dangerous guy. Our kids got abused because of it. It was a nightmare. But we had a real big open space back at pub, and we had a load of people live with us. So it became a hub all around the country. People were coming, and Callie will know this because she came and did a presentation there, and she came a few times. But when you were saying, Dom, people fell out after COVID, we literally saw that. It was literally when the Ukraine flag started coming, and COVID died. That was the line. Everyone was like that. I don't fucking like you, and that's what it was like. Everyone just fell out. But what a great time, though.
I think that's where did I hear? What were you on some shows at that point? And through that,
I remember you going through that. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, I was on Iconic.
Yeah,
Gareth interviewed me during that time. There were a few pubs, but I think we stood out in Lancashire for sure. You know, we were the only ones, and we did become a hub. We used to have a regular Tuesday night called Truth of Tuesdays. We had Wake Up Wednesdays, and we just had people come in from everywhere, and it were great. You know, we had festivals on, and we're just like, fuck it, I'm going to lose everything. I'm going to lose it, Anna. So let's just do it.
Do you still have a pub now, then?
No, we lost everything, and we ended up in social housing. I had a breakdown. To be honest, I was exhausted.
Bastards.
Well, yeah. You know, it affects a lot of people in different ways, but I'm glad we did what we did. And me and my missus look back at a time, it was incredible. When we look back at what happened and what we achieved, it's like, that was pretty impressive, really.
Yeah. I think if I'd have got that one, because that was in a residential area in Cambridge, I think I'd have been fucked. I really do, because rents are ridiculous around here as well. I don't think I'd have survived it.
We knew. I think it was by summer 21. It was like, no chance, we're not going to survive this. You know, but it was interesting. We had Thwaites Brewery. We were under Thwaites, and area manager came in one day, and he said, all my posters were like, I'm not going to. If anyone comes in without a mask, you know, don't worry, blah blah blah. And he was reading all these posters, and he sat me down and he said, look, you can't do this. I said, I can. And I am doing. I'm not treating people like shit. You know, I've come here to be a landlord, you know, so we're opening as a pub, and that's it. We are a pub. And I said to him, I said, if you bring in a vaccine passport, then you'll have my keys, because there's no way we're doing that. And he just wouldn't look at me. You know what I mean? He literally, his head dropped. He wouldn't look at me.
Do you knew it was bullshit?
Should have just put him in the cellar.
It's still there. You know, the sad thing is we left and that pub is still boarded up. That pub is still boarded up.
Well,
it's
they
really
were already
sad.
killing pub industry, weren't they? I mean, I've worked in it all my life, just about restaurants and whatever. They were already killing it off with taxes, weren't they? And then that were like the fucking final.
Well, the last thing they wanted were people sat down having a conversation about
After a
how
few
much,
shanders,
yeah,
they'd
how
suddenly
much.
start going.
I mean, I don't drink, but I can understand.
After a couple of pints all sat together, they'd start going, "Do you think this is bollocks?" They were terrified of the pub, weren't they?
They were absolutely terrified, and but revolutions start in pubs, don't they? You know, people stand up, and they don't want that at all. So it was important what we did. You know, for whatever reason, we were there the day they shut the pubs. It was called the fucking Crown.
The super spreader, Jesus.
The super spreader.
I was freelance, so I didn't take that pub. I ended up working in some pubs, freelance and nursing homes as well. But fucking hell, when the woman said to me,
you'll hear that we swear quite a bit.
Well, she said, the manager said to me, I've just had it from a head office that if any deliveries arrive, you've got to leave them outside for 3 hours. So delivery sat in car park for 3 hours.
With green COVID smoke come off.
You're like, bloody hell, what the hell is going on here?
But they had to bring all this in to make it look real. I was watching something the other day. I'm into. I do train quite a bit. And I watched some bodybuilders on there, and one of them was saying it's a lady actually and her husband, and the lady was saying she's competing in Olympia, and she tested positive for COVID. She'd been ill that week, and I'm thinking it's 5 years on, man, and he's still talking this shite.
I told you, someone said at our school the other day, picking my nipper up. One of the mums said, "Oh yeah, we went to this wedding, but we all came. We had a house full of." And I thought, fucking hell, really? Still, you really? So that means you must have a test at home still.
Everyone needs to test to come in event 101 though, don't they? We're going to be there fucking prodding everyone as they're coming in.
Yeah. I have a massive swab.
Anal one, yeah.
I remember going to a restaurant and they wanted to take my temperature. I said, "You're not taking my temperature." I said, "What for?" And they said, "Well, just, because they looked at me like I was stupid, like thick as mince." I said, and they had all this machinery there with a gun to point at your head. Remember all that nonsense?
Do you know?
And I said, "I am doing it. You're not doing it."
Yeah, to the head. Yeah.
They tried that.
This Chinese woman in a Chinese restaurant. I had to turn into a ninja. I was that quick in my reaction. She didn't even ask me. She walked towards me with this gun. I went, "Wah!"
I said to a waitress at one of the pub I was working at, I said, "Don't point that at my fucking head."
What a time, though! What a time!
And we were talking about this, weren't we, the other day? But like, how many people do you think were actually having sex with their masks on? I reckon a lot.
Loads.
My missus still wears hers.
Yeah, but she always wore one.
She's been wearing them for the last 15 years.
What about the glory holes? Do you remember them? Do you remember the BBC came out?
What do you mean, remember them?
Still going.
I didn't see that, John. What was that?
No, they said instead of having normal sex, have you considered just doing it through a glory hole in the wall? I'm not joking. And you please.
That was happening in the pub anyway. That was happening anyway.
That's just a standard night out in Manchester.
That was just like from male toilet to female toilet. That was just what happens.
Fair enough. I think I'm not in some crazy Mandela effect timeline, but I'm sure the BBC were even saying to do that.
Yeah,
they will do. Yeah. But there was an article, the BBC put an article about sex and COVID, because I did a mock-up poster and put it in the pub. It was the only poster that kept getting pinched. It was always getting robbed because it was literally taking the piss out of sex. And I put a link on the URL on the bottom for the BBC article. It's probably still there on the BBC website, sex and COVID.
I mean, I've just found one there, but yeah. I mean, I think it was said on the BBC as well. I mean, it's no joke. Like it says, here's the article. It says, "Try glory holes for safer sex during coronavirus."
That's amazing.
I mean, it just really blurred the line between reality and like a Harry Enfield sketch from the 90s, didn't it?
Yeah. Don't go jogging. I remember that one. Because when you're sweating, you could go past someone and droplets could go onto them.
And how many people, when you were walking like down the street, would just walk into the road? You know, like nearly get run over just to kind of keep away from you.
Yeah, fantastic.
Being the super spreader of the village, everyone just avoided me. I was just loads of space. I was walking through that village. It was great.
That must have been. You know, I can't help thinking that. That must have been
There's a
pretty
guy
dark.
where I live who still goes jogging. I don't know who he is, but he runs through the village with a fishnet mask on. Fishnet. What's
Why
that?
not?
Why not?
Don't even know what to say about that.
Kinky, that, wasn't it?
Sexy,
Yeah.
yeah.
Chris should have corduroy.
Yeah. Anyway, let's change subject from frigging COVID. What else?
Why not? It was such a happy time, Chris.
So, what's your show about, Ant? I know what John's is about. He's just general interviews of crazy people, like kind of
That's
like we do.
what you were about there.
Yes. So I some similar stuff to John's. I don't just do podcasts. I think I try and do 2 to 3 a month podcasts, but I also do some storytelling videos. Really, so I've done things like Saturn's Cube and various sort of trying to enlighten people, if you like, in a story sense on how this reality is a bizarre.
Is it
Really.
on,
So I do
on YouTube, Ant? Sorry.
Yeah, Stellify. Yeah, so I dive heavily, mainly into this reality because I wanted to know. Well, the reason I started it, I wanted to know what makes these elite types tick, really, because it's not just about greed and power. There's much more to it. You know, I was looking at the fact, obviously, they use dates, don't they? They use rituals and this and the other. So I wanted to dive a little bit deeper into that, and that's what the channel does. But I also do a lot of self-help stuff as well because I went through what I went through after I lost the pub. I made a big intention at that time where I'm going to fix myself and I'm also going to help people fix themselves. So I have a monthly kind of Stellify Zoom collective, if you like, where we all get together and we support each other. Because the pub was about that anyway. So it's kind of carrying that on in a virtual sense. We were there to support each other. So I wanted to carry that on in another way. So that's a small group that we get together once a month through the Patreon. But the channel's been going about a year, let's say about 18 months, I would think.
What's it called again, Ant? I didn't catch that.
Stellify.
Stellify.
Yeah.
I'll put all the links in the show notes.
Yeah, thanks, Dom. And I just love doing it, really. You know, I think we all do, don't we? Otherwise, we wouldn't do it. You know, it's literally just...
Apart from having to with him, other than that.
Well, you know. But I enjoy these conversations. I think that's why I do the podcast. And I learn so much from my guests. You know, I always have an open mind when I'm chatting to people, and I never really publicly object to them either. But it allows me to think as well.
You were saying that if you had a co-presenter. You're far too jolly.
You didn't allow me to fucking think, that's for sure. Yeah. What about you, Callie? What's your thing?
So I've got a podcast called Dark Matters because the Dark Matters. It's kind of very like an occult decode kind of channel. But I started off doing the law. I'm a lawyer, qualified lawyer. So when a bit kind of like you said earlier, Don, like John Harris styling really, but there's a bit more to it with constitutional law, the main focus at the moment, equity trusts, going after the birth certificate, the trust, going after council tax, utilities, all those kind of things. So, and we are doing it in the courts, like, you know, battling these motherfuckers. So that's what I do. But I also kind of the decode of the legal system and the etymology, and it's all in the spell of the words. You know, that's why a judge passes a sentence. You know, it's how we kind of decode that. It's a Saturnian cult. You know, it thrives on time. I have this big obsession with time. I deep dive that a lot, which kind of gives us the experience of matter. But they worship time in the shipping maritime. Maritime just means sea of time. They know there's some kind of timeline war, and I deep dive all this kind of stuff. So kind of very much kind of that alchemical sense, you know, it's the middle way, you know, it's not light, it's not dark, it's the middle path. And I try and highlight all that kind of stuff, whilst being as practical as I can to find remedy for people from the current shit show that we find ourselves in. And I work with some great people who do that, far more knowledgeable than me. But yeah, I've done it for about 5 years, but I'd say I've been awake about 20 odd. So I've been awake to this place, not to the level we are now, certainly not in the level of the last 5 6 years. Wow, like John says, it's that it was 2020 and it was 2020 vision, right? So, but again, like I'm into scripted reality. I've had some amazing guests on the podcast. Like I say, I had no clue what I was doing in the beginning, and I wouldn't say I still do, but like Anne and like you guys, it affords me opportunities to meet really interesting people and have great chats. And we do it for the love, don't we? And speaking our truth and all that kind of thing. So yeah, that's me really. Dad matters. Dad contact.
What about you, John?
Yeah, mine is the John Cooper Show. I've had Mark Devlin on a couple of times. I know you've had him on. You're good friends with him.
You've had a few on that we've had on, actually.
Yeah, I think there probably is birds of a feather flock together, right? My thing is I actually started mine during the lockdowns, I think, just because something to do. And for some reason it went down a very dark path, just because when you follow one breadcrumb and another breadcrumb, I didn't have any set plan of where I wanted to take the podcast. But before I knew it, I was like straight into satanic ritual abuse, and I had John Wedger on, and ex detective, Met Police, and we wrote a book together. And then before you know it, I was bringing on guests from all over the world who are satanic ritual abuse survivors.
What's your book called, John?
It's called The Great Reveal. Because we're trying to.
I didn't know you got a book with.
When was that released?
That was released 2-3 years ago now with John Wedger, yeah, and just telling his story, basically trying to get his story out there to more people. John Wedger, he uncovered a huge paedophile network whilst working in the Met Police. He tried to expose it, and they basically dragged him into a room and they said, "Look, you're getting close to the truth." And he's like, "Thank you." And he went, "No, you better shut up now, otherwise you're going to lose your home, your livelihood, and your children." And they did. They took away his home, they tried to take away his children, and they tried to completely crush him. And he fought it, and he got it all back. And
the canal thing, the canal.
He was working on the canal boats here, trying to catch transient paedophiles. So, he was given that job, and he became too good at it. Instead of catching one every month, he was catching 30 a week or something ridiculous, right?
So there was a network on the canal.
Yeah, because it was something about the canals means that they can, they're transiting in between counties, which means they can't be actually pinpointed.
Yeah.
And he says there's also something that happens on the canals if they have a Rosie and Jim. Do you remember Rosie and Jim from the 90s?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They have the kind of the tip off, the thing that shows it. If they have a Rosie and Jim toy in the front, it says that this is being used for child trafficking, and that was like the hidden thing that he found out. He connected the dots.
Wow.
So yeah, all that was going on, and then he's recently come out to. I don't know if you've seen it. He was headline news on the Daily Mail front page, John Wedger, recently about Sadiq Khan, because of the cover-ups that Sadiq Khan's doing with the grooming gangs as well. And how Sadiq Khan may be even involved in all that as well. So he is really, if he wasn't
Under constitutional law, you can't have a foreign national in power. That's the law of our land. The LORE law.
Well, I mean, going back to Sadiq Khan and all these things, all these people, Sadiq Khan, there's something odd about him, isn't there? There's something, dare I say, feminine about a lot of these people with Tony Blair. Boris Johnson.
Don't get Carly on the tranny gender. The transgender gender.
Boris Johnson was probably the only male. Cameron's was quite camp, Queer Starling, he's definitely soy boy. Even Inchai Private Eye, he was as well. Rishi Sunakers.
They're all twats, though, aren't they? Like all of them are twats.
That's one way of putting it on.
Yeah.
But
in all money, what a bunch of cunts.
What feminine though? But what did you mean by feminine? Because I think that I agree with that. I think they are feminized because
yes,
the feminine quality to that is that like the Agent Smiths in the Matrix, right? They all look the same.
Yes.
They don't have any individuation. There's no inner spark to them. There's no inner kind of, which Neo had, right? They are the perfect foot soldiers for what I think we're living in. I think we're living in a devouring mother archetype, right? That's what we're in. So that, but the front line of that, the foot soldiers of that, are these feminized men, right? The cucks. They're the ones that, and then from the outside looking at you, you think, okay, men are in control of this. Actually, no, it's not. They are just the patsies. They're just the foot soldiers of this. It's actually a devouring mother archetype. Matrix actually comes from the word etymologically from the womb.
You're right, yeah. And you think about all these, like Trump. I mean, Trump's metamorphosizing before his eyes, isn't it? Have you seen how drawn he looks now since he got back into power? If you look at his face now, it's very drawn. It's like he's been on a Zempic or something like that.
Right.
His face.
They all do look like
when they first got in, it looked like he'd been on TRT, testosterone replacement. All them guys were on it, but he now has aged so quickly. Not the younger guys that are with him, but him personally.
An inversion is their religion. It literally is, isn't it? As we know, these bloodlines, they invert, subvert, pervert. I mean, one of the theories is that the Sabbateanism and all that Fabian stuff, because they're trying to bring about the Great Tribulation. They've got to kind of be, they've got to invert everything. And the biggest one is creation, because like John says, the primordial womb is feminine, and they removed the feminine and they hijacked everything. Because without true union of opposites, that's that alchemy again, you can't, the woman is the portal. So this kind of, they invert, and they want artificial wombs and, all this kind of transhumanism and etc., but it's all purposely done to eradicate, especially the dark feminine, because the dark feminine is chaos. She's the destroyer, Carly the destroyer. Don't fuck with it's like the mama lions and the mama bears, because we'll fucking come and destroy you. And that's what they know that. So they want men as women, women as men, children as cats. Meow.
But
and the whole thing is just what?
But even in sport or anything that we do, a lot of the people pushed out of the males it's all feminized now. Even people like David Beckham, for instance, though he looks manly man, he's quite a feminine looking bloke to me. Even more so as he's getting older. His eyes look like he's had some eyeliner on, like he's got like Daniel LaRue. That these people are shoved out in front of us, and like you said, John, it's to push that feminine archetype in. That's the male, but really it's not a male. Again, look at the leaders we've had.
They're inverted. I mean, I did a whole show on it on my podcast with a guy called Mr. Rick, who studies the bits, and we can't know really, unless we look in the underpants perhaps. But the inversion is a real thing.
But I don't think it's just that.
As well.
I don't just think it's that the transvestites. If you think about, say, the Kardashian guy, what's he called? I forget what he's called now, or she's called now. Anyway. I don't believe that he thought he was a woman all his life, right? It's only my belief. He might well do. Or the boxing promoter that promoted Lennox Lewis. But let's just say they woke up that they thought they were a woman at age 45, they're not going to say, "Oh, I've only just realised I think I'm a woman." They're going to say, "I thought I were a woman since I were a kid," right? Because that's what they've been told by the press, as in the media and things like that, and to say. But in reality, I think the genetic change or the change in these people has happened recently. Because when you look back, they didn't look feminine. You look at that boxing promoter, he wasn't dressing feminine. He didn't even think he were slightly camp, or anything. Likewise with the Jenner, that's what he's called, isn't it? He didn't look it either. And I can remember Master Lee, Lee Hadsell said to us that it's the first time in history that we actually sort of support or look up to gimps or weaklings like Bill Gates or
look at the
Elon
superhero.
Musk.
Look at the superheroes from the 80s. I know that was the era of steroids and whatever.
It's more so now, though, John. It's more so prevalent now, isn't it? Steroids.
Have you looked? Yeah, but look at the superheroes that we have now, and like the Robert Downey Jr. And I think they had them all together, and they just there wasn't a drip of testosterone amongst the 10 of them.
Yeah.
It's true.
It's true. Yeah,
it's warping kids' minds. So, when the serious matter of that is, children are getting affected by that, and they don't know they're coming and going, and that's the problem.
Actually, I was speaking about this yesterday. Actually, if you think about, because I grew up in the 80s, right, and so I had Transformers, Thundercats, He-Man, right, some others, right, but it was all about heroism and being built strong leader, right. 90s came about. What did he have? Teletubbies, Tweenies. I don't know what else. Do you know what I mean? Like, where was that same?
There was someone to aspire to in the 80s, weren't there?
Something to aspire to, something strong, like a strong man, like archetype.
If you think in the 90s, I think 90s was when that metrosexual started being floating around, didn't it? And now we're at a point where men spend more time in the mirror than women do.
Yeah.
That didn't, we spent, you'll even get a guy with a big beard and it's trimmed too perfectly. Men are spending far much too much time.
They moisturise, don't they?
I use moisturiser actually, so I can't.
Oh, do you? Oh, sorry.
Get out.
Hang on a minute.
I get dry skin.
And that's why I call him a limp-wristed artifarty.
But like what Don was saying about Beckham, though, he was kind of part of that movement, wasn't it? That over effeminated.
Well, he wore that sarong, didn't he? That dress.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, he did. Yeah,
They kept putting loads of famous fucking sarongs and dresses in '90s as well, didn't they? Then it creeped up to where we are.
Still got mine.
Yeah.
Kind of like the beginning, they always castrated young boys so that they could, be the castrator, they would sing.
Eunuchs, yeah.
And we know they've been injecting, boys with female hormones and vice versa through the, jib jabs.
Mm.
And, they can turn a female fetus into a male fetus, but with the opposite private parts, in utero. And as crazy as that sounds, I'm pretty convinced that, that's what these bloodlines have been doing for a very long time. And they've got technology, that, we've lost that. They keep that power. They chase immortality. That's the big thing.
That is the end game, isn't it? I mean, if you think about it, it's not about money. It's not about fame. They own all that side of it. So if you own money, right, you don't need to have more money because you own it. And so all of these programs are running, I would say, for some kind of immortality search, longevity, whatever you want to call it. Because a lot of these people like Bezos, people like that are putting tens of millions of pounds into longevity. Because if you were a billionaire, you would want to live longer to enjoy what you got. Stands to reason.
They've actually got that with the Lazarus Project.
Yes,
if you looked into that, so they're like a consciousness transfer they can do into they can clone and then they can transfer the consciousness into like a clone or infinite amount of clones if they wanted to. Yeah.
I think they've been doing that for a very long time.
I think so as well.
All these billionaires have these underground bunkers. They know when the plasma events are. They've got this knowledge. And it's a race against time, right? For that kind of collective kind of consciousness.
When I say billionaires, I don't mean all billionaires, because I don't believe all billionaires are part of the club. And they're not all billionaires who are part of the club either. Certain people carry different things. It's like when we were doing our Aldous Huxley series, you realise that they were part of some kind of academic class, all that family, even from Aldous Huxley's mother's side, the Arnold family, they were all poets and academics and teachers and things like that. Her grandfather or father was the headmaster of rugby school and invented stadium sports, and so he was the progenitor of what we see now in football and rugby and cricket and all these sports and the Olympics. That was Aldous Huxley's grandfather. So, but you wouldn't think of it because he was called Arnold, not Huxley. Yeah. One of his cousins was the first director of the BBC. But you wouldn't think he was either because he wasn't called Huxley. Yeah. So all these families are intertwined into this. So, but they weren't all rich, but they're included in this. They were setting up the intelligence agencies, were part of the Huxley family.
Kind of, it was in a different kind of world, though, wasn't it? As well, the fact that they weren't millionaires and billionaires like there is now. I suppose.
Oh no, there were, because I mean, you're looking at the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds and Morgans and people like that, and the Warburgs and what have you. They were all them families were still about, but it doesn't matter because on the table they don't need money. So we think of we or the populace think of money as the important part, or the laws as the important part, but they don't care because they wrote the laws. They own the money. They leave everything else for everybody else to fight over.
It's all about the energy drain, I reckon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Pyrrhic energy drain.
Well, that's one part of it. I'm sure there are many things that we'll never understand. Because like 2020, we all think it was just a scam and all this, but there's probably loads of things to it from an esoteric level that we'll call esoteric, that might actually be some kind of program that's been run, like the Grand Theft Auto program, where it seems that the more people you hurt and kill, the more points you get, the more you're the more you can become a winner. It's like the game theory, isn't it? Game theory is about it's basically you can't win without cheating. So they've worked out that is game theory in an essence. And so the people that get to the top, like Boris Johnson, you see him, and I don't know how many videos I've got of him lying. I'm going to put some on the presentation we do on Saturday. But there's videos of him being interviewed, basically lying his ass off, and he's willing to stand in front of a camera and go, "Oh well, who gives a shit?" You know, he don't care, and it doesn't affect his career.
But this is the thing where people like Matt Hancock, he'll go to sleep at night knowing nothing's going to touch him.
I'd say Hancock, they won't care about Hancock. They'll throw him under the bus. They don't care about him. But for some reason, Boris or people like that will get their career will go on an upward trajectory constantly without, it doesn't matter what he does, it seems.
Well, I can't believe Hancock went on "I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here," and everyone went, "Oh, actually, you know, he's
not a bad guy."
They did as well. I witnessed it at the job I do, John.
Yeah,
I didn't like him, but he's all right actually. I heard someone say that.
God, yeah.
Think about his
exactly what they set out to.
Like the obvious theatre, doesn't it? Like, you know what I mean? And like Tony Blair with him lying about weapons of mass, destruction and all that. Like, he killed millions of people, but they get to walk away because they turn themselves into limited companies, so they have limited liability. So it's actually Tony Blair Limited that did it, not Tony Blair. So they dissolve the company and it all begins again. And of course, they get all the immunity that they get. Same with Hancock, you see. So they walk away and they know the game, they know the system.
Look at Blair now, Kelly. He was in Washington deciding how to divvy up Gaza with fucking Donald Trump. I mean, how does he go from murdering 1 million people to becoming Middle East envoy for peace? To now
and we just let them, the people in our ignorance and that's why, you got to kind of laugh at the theatre of it, like how shockingly awful it is. But we've been dumbed down that much. We know the schooling system's about, so we're not taught.
It's only shockingly awful in this experience, isn't it? We don't know what the other experiences are, if there are other experiences. Yeah.
But why is Tony Blair part of the thing still?
I've been wondering that. Like, why? Surely no one, either on the left or the right, trusts Tony Blair, right? This is the thing. Some politicians, one side of the political aisle will like them, but Tony Blair, everyone wants to see that guy hung, drawn, and quartered, don't they?
You think so, John? Won't you? You think so?
Like that can't be good. That can't be good optics for them, can it? Say, right, we've got to roll out something for the WF. Who are we going to use? Tony? The whole world hates you. Let's bring you out as our poster boy. Who's in charge of their marketing here?
But again, nobody seems to care. Yeah. Nobody seems to care, do they? It's like the digital ID thing. Tony Blair, if it goes through, he's set to make an absolute fortune from it. He's been pushing that since 97 or something. Another twat.
Yeah, I was doing some research on Bono. Mark sent me
another twat.
Yeah. Actually, Matt Sergiu sent an email over about Bono, whatever. And
Bono.
He was a World Economic Forum Young Global Leader of Tomorrow, for Tomorrow. That's what they called it before, Young Global Leader, in 1993. And on that same year was Tony Blair, Gordon Brown, Angela Merkel, Guy Verhofstadt, who was became the Prime Minister of Belgium, Viktor Orban, who was the Hungarian Prime Minister. In 2021, he threatened to, in the end, everyone will be vaccinated. Even the anti-vaxxers will realise that they will either get vaccinated or die. Yeah.
It will kill us if we don't take it. That's the only way I'll die.
That would have probably been his dream, actually.
Yeah, would probably what. On that was Richard Branson, Michael S. Dell as well. He's part of the World Economic Forum now as well. He's on the board. But interestingly, I was doing Bono, not doing him physically, but doing
boning Bono.
I'll go to the hole in the wall.
Glory hole with boning.
Yeah. Bono's glory hole.
Bono's hanging through.
But at the same time, as you do at midnight, I was doing some research on Richard Branson as well, and he was on the same Young Global Leaders for Tomorrow in 1993 as all them people as well. It's fucking mental.
It's staggering, isn't it? It's staggering.
And Bill Gates was.
Oh God, that pie in the face wasn't good for him, though, was it? He really wanted everyone dead after that, didn't he?
Yeah.
The pie in the face. That was the moment, weren't it?
Oh yeah, the meme where they said, "This is the moment he decided to."
This is right the moment.
Yeah.
Got to leave the file in the
It
pie.
could have been gone then, couldn't it? Yeah.
It could have been.
Yeah. But he was knighted, weren't he? By the Queen. He's got an honorary knighthood, Sir Bill Gates.
Has he?
Yeah.
Sir Bill Gates.
Bill Gates, yeah.
Yeah. And Melvin Gates is a dame. She got a damehood. An honorary damehood.
Oh, Melvin, as in his better half.
Yeah, Melvin Gates.
Oh my God.
If you've got a knighthood, you've definitely done some dark deeds in, like 100%. Like
I would say that some of these people as well get knighthoods, and I think it's to muddy the waters, because I agree with you. Most of them have probably done some dark deeds, but I also think they throw some in there that
to mix it up. That would be that would be the clever way to do it, I guess.
Yeah,
But not all. But yeah.
But they do.
We say the clues in the title. It's like politics. Poly means many. Ticks is parasites.
Yeah.
They're telling you they are.
yeah, you're probably right there. In fact, no doubt you are. But everything we've got is controlled by this entity, as John were alluding to. Even like say Larry Ellison, who popped up in the Trump thing, where we're going to stop this old jabs, we're going to have this new AI jab. But he's got a contract with most of the governments in the Western world running their computer systems. And his company Oracle was set up by the CIA. They were the first customers that he had. And I tell you, Dad used to work for him. Boris Johnson's wife's dad used to work for him. Matthew Simmons. He used to work for Larry Ellison. He ran he was CEO of his foundation. Larry Ellison's foundation.
It's incestuous, isn't it?
Funding all the COVID nonsense in 2020, 2021. Or a lot of it anyway. Yeah.
Do you think it's just one big pyramid scheme?
Do you know what? The one thing that sums it all up is that Blade table when they sat round, all them vampires. None of them get on. They all want to kill each other, but they can't. And they're making decisions. And I forget now. Chris explains it better because he's watched all them films more than I have. That guy that comes in to discuss it, is he part vampire?
No, he's a half breed vampire. Isn't it? If you remember that film Blade, and they're all sat at a table, and you've got like an African one, Chinese, and they're all ancient vampire bloodlines. And the main guy, Stephen Dorff, he's a half blood. So he says, why don't we just take over humanity and kill them all, use them for food? And they're like, no, but we've survived like this for generations. We do it in the secret, in the dark, kind of thing. And the point is, he's got no power because he's a half breed. He's not a full on vampire. I just always thought it were an interested. You just think, is that actually? Actually showed us there how it fucking works in real life.
Yeah, interesting.
You see it in a few things like that.
Why don't they? Yeah, because why don't they? I don't know. Why don't they sort of carry out their? Well, why don't they even take out each other? Because they can't all get on, can they? Let's be honest.
No. If they're at that level, I think there must be egos.
So what's the comment? What's the thing that's stopping them just taking each other out at that level?
Well, I suppose like the vampires, if they make themselves known too much, they'll cease to exist, won't they? Because we'll turn on them. So they've got to keep it in secret, I suppose, to an extent. But like you said, we've discussed this before, haven't we, Don? Where it's almost like they would be fighting with each other because there'd be certain their egos must be out of control.
Yeah.
But have they got certain things that they can't let go of, like, for instance, NASA's bullshit, and COVID was bullshit. So they've got to keep these certain things. Antarctica, they can't discuss. They've got to stay in their club. They've got to stay undiscussed, if you like, with us, Goyim. I don't know.
They might not be happy that certain ones of them do certain things to certain places. I mean, look what's happening in Gaza at the moment. But they'll go along with it because they're all part of the same. A bit like a mafia round table, isn't it? I'm sorry I shot your son. I'm sorry I killed your wife. But we've got a deal to do, so let's just get down to business.
I've thought of it as like farmers. If you take a farmer, you get some farmers who love their animals and they hate to see them go, if you like. You get ones who are quite nasty and cruel to them. Maybe that's how it is. Maybe these dark rulers, some of them are, but they all see it as cattle.
You've got some younger brothers who love their older brothers. You've got some younger brothers who...
Where does this younger brother exist?
Yeah.
But who do they answer to, these people?
Oh,
Who they serving?
We're going further there, aren't we? Into
we are, aren't we?
abyss. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's definitely more than one layer, isn't there? I mean, these are all theories. Again, people no doubt put comments in saying, "Oh, you're talking shite," but I find them interesting theories. You know,
I do. Yeah.
I drew a picture for our last podcast, and it
way less interesting.
I think it works. You know, like birds swarm together. You know, if you see them in a formation in the sky, they're not deciding that, not controlling that, they're not premeditating that. They just there's an intuitive thing that they all get into a swarm, you know, all into a flock. I think that kind of goes on an unconscious level. All these kind of elites, they kind of know that all collectively together, they're all moving the whole thing in one direction. But it's a kind of unconscious thing where they don't have to meet up and talk about things all the time. It's like swarm theory. That's kind of how I see it.
It's strange you say that, because a lot of people say, this bloodline stuff, everybody's related to everybody and all this sort of carry on. But I think there's more to it than just even the bloodline. I think there's certain people, I don't agree with that, by the way. I'm not down on that. Even the genealogy or professional genealogists say it might be the case. We can't prove it, but it might be the case. Well, you're just talking about gravity and all the bollocks, aren't you? So, but there's got to be something else to it energetically or in the programming that brings these people together. They don't just all meet up and say, "You're the same as you're same bloodline as me, aren't you?" You know, that's a coincidence, isn't it? You know, I don't think it quite works like that on a ground level. I just think people, I see it I had quite a big, decent sized business once, and you see it in business people where you can see it in their eyes that they would do anything to stand on your throat and get one over on you. You know, they don't care. You know, it is like that. But they get on. They'll go to football matches together and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's a very similar world on a lower micro level. Where a lot of these businesses get, and then they'll hear that they're having problems with their business, and they'll have a wry smile on the face. You know, they've lost the car or something. You know, it's a similar world, similar to your football team winning, somebody else is losing and getting relegated, for argument's sake. You know, somebody's upset, somebody's happy. You know,
because I would get my. Sorry, John. Go on.
No, go on, mate.
No, I'm going to say I was trying.
He's always interrupting guests.
I came up with an idea. I did a drawing for our last podcast because I was thinking about this. I was telling Dom, and it's like a dark entity on a TV screen, and you know you can't really see who he is. And I've put like with all due respect, your worship, we have received no new tech for some time now. And then this is the entity talking. If the 9/11 operation is a success, you will receive your request, which will be a useful tool for your needs and ours. It will serve up to and beyond our 2020 plans, if you know what I mean. Like they're asking for technology. The entities run this well, but from another dimension, they're going to get given, for instance, the iPad, you know, or the flat screen technology, which will then lead on to social media, and then they can control us lot. It was just a thought I had. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think it's relevant. I think.
I do.
I mean, when you say flat screen, you mean the iPad?
Well, I mean,
touch screen, don't you? Not flat
screen. I mean,
the
iPad stroke touch screen, as we know it, came out around 2007, if I'm right. And if you think there was small build up after 2000, after 9/11, if you like, where we all started to get home computers, and then it was a home computer, then it was a bigger TV, then it was a flat screen, and now look where we are now. That has literally led up to the touchscreen phone and social media where we are, and they couldn't have done 2020 without it. I don't think,
because I was involved in telecoms all the way through from the early 90s all the way through. You saw, like, especially after the 2000s, where they had video and images, and then it were Blackberries. Blackberries were massive at one point. They were the first touchscreens on a phone, but unbeknown to them, Apple were being design it. I think it was an English guy that actually.
And if you remember when the iPads kind of came out, I remember this. I remember where I was working, and Apple said, "We've got no intention of ever making a phone." And a year later, it were out. Now they must have.
they were lying, Chris.
They were lying. Yeah. they had it there in the background. But I remember when Blackberries came out, and they were saying, it was in all the newspapers. I was living in London at the time. Oh, you know, it's going to free up people time to do more work, and you know, it's going to free up this
3-day week.
And it didn't, did it? It just made them fucking work on the way home on train and on the way in on train.
Made them work 7 days a week and knobheads do podcasts like us.
I noticed on your site, John, you do some good interviews with like alien abductees. I was listening to one today actually. One with the
Tell me your story, Chris.
yeah, I saw a UFO.
Oh, really?
When I was a kid, yeah.
We worked it
It
out
was
about
actually interesting.
worked it out about 1984, didn't we?
Yeah.
December
It was
1984.
Some of the things he was saying though, Dom, literally, I'm not saying I don't know if I got abducted or not, but we saw a UFO, and I suffered from nosebleeds from around that time, actually, from junior school up to being about 20 odd. I used to get horrific.
I did as well. I used to get nosebleeds almost on a daily basis.
Yeah,
for
so
a
did
period of
Dom.
time.
So I got them for about 15 years.
Yeah, me too.
What is
That's
there-
horrible out of 5. That's
Yeah, but
weird.
it was like just when I started secondary school, I was coming home getting nosebleeds every day and pulling out long plots or whatever it was, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mine was later in life, the last probably 15 years. What got rid of mine were high doses of vitamin C on an IV.
Really?
Yeah, that sorted my sinuses out and everything. Yeah.
Well, what's the kind of the trippy realization from that? Do you think with the bloody noses? Do you think there was some paranormal?
I was listening to that fella,
James Bartley.
James Bartley. That's it, Rose. Yeah, a lot of the things he was saying, I could. Although all I did was see this UFO thing. There was me and 5 of my mates saw it. I think there was 5 of us saw it. Me and 4 of my mates saw it, and we all saw it. We all ran home. My mum remembered me telling her when we ran in, "We've just seen this giant thing in the sky," you know. But then the lads who I saw it with, my mum asked them years later, and they denied they didn't know what she was talking about.
There's more to it than that, because
yeah, there is. I didn't want to bore everyone with same. I can tell the whole story if you want, but none of them remembered seeing it. And even my cousin who was there the next day, we were talking about it, and he was drawing it, and he's putting guns on it and stuff because we're only kids. But I remember every detail quite vividly, but no one else seemed to.
What would it look like, Chris?
Well, we were sledging, and we saw these lights in the sky. So it's 1984, so I'm like 11.
Yeah.
And we were sledging down this hill around the back where me and Dom grew up, and we were walking up. And we saw these dots. We're telling stories. And my cousin.
When you say, hang on a minute, you say you were walking up a hill to go back down again.
No, hang on a minute. In fact, we were stood looking into the valley, basically, and we saw these yellow, orange dots whizzing around. And my cousin, who was a bit older, started talking about UFOs. I don't think I really knew what a UFO was. So we started walking home, and we're going up this hill. And as we're walking, we just kind of I remember sensing something, and turned around, and this thing was just coming up towards us, and it just stopped there. And then the next thing, we're all lying in the snow, and the thing was here. If you imagine from where you are, and it's going that way over this hill. And then we all just jumped up and ran home, shitting ourselves. But like the next day, I remember telling my mates at school and stuff. But then, like I said, years later, it worked till I was about 15 that I started to really think about it. I remember I read an article in the News of the World magazine about abduction. And I was like, fucking hell, we saw one of them. That's weird. And then I started thinking, did we miss a bit of time? Because I was lying on the floor.
Well, just fill in here, Chris. At that time there, this was near a place. It's something called Hebden Bridge Triangle. Which
it was rife.
It was right at that time where we were sort of right in middle of all that, whatever it was that were going on, that phenomena. There was a policeman in Halifax, I forget his name now.
What's his name?
Somebody will remind me. In fact, I remember seeing David Icke on Breakfast TV with Frank Boff, and this policeman were there in his police uniform telling his story. And David Icke was sports presenter on the actual morning show, and he asked him some questions to David Icke. This was way before David Icke was David Icke as we know him today.
I remember you mentioned that to Gareth, didn't you?
Yeah. I've got it downloaded somewhere, that video of him. Yeah, but so we were in the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s. It was known as I'm sure it was the Hebden Bridge or the Todmorden Triangle, something like that it was called, where there were lots of people spotting. But
also, I could pin it back to that point, probably onwards. I had loads of I don't want to say psychic, but like synchronistic psychic dreams as well, even up to now. In fact, the synchronicities have gone fucking crazy over from 2020 onwards. I don't know about you guys.
Do you find you get them in waves? Because I find I'll go a few weeks without it. Then in a week, what will happen is I'll be looking at a bus and at the advert on the bus, and it will say the word I don't know, total. And then in that moment, I'm hearing on my headphones, total, exact the same, not even a split second off. Total. I'm seeing the word total. I'm hearing the word total. So what I've started doing is in my phone, I've got a coincidence diary, and I basically put all those times it happens. And I just keep that. And I find that if you look back over that, you can see patterns of, I don't know what it is, but it's either telling you something or I'm using that as a kind of a bit of a guide now.
Yeah.
And I can see the patterns of what it's trying to tell me if you see all those coincidental words coming or synchronistic words.
I've got all mine written down as well.
My son's having them, and he's 14. He's having them. He's noticing numbers and things like that. I've never mentioned that side of it to him. 9/11 he mentions,
I get a lot of weird synchros with my son. He came up the other week. I told the story last week, so I'll tell it very quickly. But me and him went to a pub, and we're walking down the street, and he's telling me this story about when he was somewhere, and there was a massive road full of frogs. They were obviously breeding or something. And he's telling me this story for no reason, really. And we walk round the corner, we go about 5 steps, and a frog just bounces in front of us across the street. I've never seen a frog here before. I've lived here 10 years. I think I've seen one out in the field. Just bounced in front of us, and I went to my son, I went, what the fuck is that? And he was like, I don't know. That's just beyond weird, But that's just a small example. But I write them down as well, John. But unfortunately, they're all over the shop in different.
Well, ironically, 2 weeks ago we were on a podcast, and I started the podcast when I started Sheep Farm Podcast XYZ, and I said I'm starting to sound like Captain Kirk, and it was the day that Charlie Kirk died. I didn't know he died. Yeah, and I'd mentioned Star Trek several times that week. Now, is that I don't mention Star Trek. I don't even like the show. I just it was just part of it. When we were doing it, doing a podcast with Dave Murphy.
The thing is, John, though, like you were saying about the bus thing,
so
they seem so unimportant and so unnecessary.
Yeah.
That if you tell someone else, you just sound like a lunatic, don't you? Because you pointed out then, Dom, didn't you, that I'd mentioned frogs about twice in the last
because you got
podcast.
one that died in your shoe.
Yeah. God, yeah.
It was the same week.
I told him the story about a frog. I told you about that guy eating frog's legs.
Yeah.
For some reason, frogs were in it. And when I told my missus, she went, "Oh, look, there's a frog teddy there." And my daughter, there was like a frog. And they were like, "Frogs? What the?" Well, I looked it up then on last podcast.
Going back to what John was saying, I remember I were in my car and I had radio on. Well, last summer, cricket were on. And they were talking about a cricketer called Mitchell Stark, right? A van overtook me, came inside, and it was an electrician's van, and it was Stark Electrical.
Right, there you go, that kind of thing. Yeah,
it's that thing, instantly, boom.
Instantly, though, it happens instantly. Yeah. It's,
I liked your.
I find it fascinating.
I do.
It is fascinating.
I tell you what we do, John. We might need to set it up. We do a Synchronicities live podcast.
How would that work? We don't tell anyone the time. We just hope that we're all going to come on the same time.
Yeah. But we do a Synchronicities live podcast where we just read out the synchronicities and get people tell us theirs, and we read them out as well.
Because I've got a whole long list of my
it might be an all-nighter, but
it'd be an all-nighter. Yeah. Get the beers in. Yeah, but do you know what? Just to mention, this happens a lot for me in psychedelic experiences, where I did ayahuasca for the first time. I did it a lot, but the first time it happened that I would just think of something, and in that moment, the person would. So if I thought I need some water, that in that very second, the person on the other side of the room goes, "John, do you want a water?" And then I would think to myself, "God, I wish someone would blow out that candle. It's annoying me." And someone would go,
"What are you going to say then?"
Blow it out. Yeah. That'd be nice in the experience.
But I suppose it's similar to when sports people talk about flow state, where things happen. Again, going back to the Matrix, where stuff happens in slow motion, but it's actually faster than it looks, and where we see boxers or sports people. They're in the moment, and they just look like they're never going to lose. And sometimes if you're in a stadium, when I used to go watch football, and you're watching the team, I used to watch Man United, you could tell they were going to win. It didn't matter what happened that night, they were going to win. And then other nights, you can tell the other team are going to win. It is, and whatever we say about sport, it's there for a reason. The stadiums of 60, 70,000 people and all that energy that it produces is there for some kind of harvesting. It has to be, because it just has to be. There's no doubt. Well, pop concerts the same.
Have you thought about football? I've noticed there's a link between football and music, right? So there's a sound there's something sound vibrationally going on, right? Because the football's played on a pitch, right? Music, sound, right?
Yeah.
When you put the ball in the net, it's a score. These are all musical references, right? Sound vibrations on a pitch. So there's something going on in terms of energy harvesting, I think, that goes on in those
and it's changed
in those stadiums.
Because all these stadiums now all have antennas on the roof, cell sites. You can feel
They
it
all look
when
like
you go
guy
into
from
it.
above.
And it's my youngest son got into football, so I can't not take him. So I've got to take him, and you can tell because I haven't been for a long time. You can feel it. It's not the same. I've not been to a punk concert for a long time, but
So
I'm
that
presuming
link
it's
with
like
the music and stadiums is like the link with water and money, isn't it? Or like law, like Callie was saying, that they use a lot of maritime
law.
language in law and in money, don't they? I never noticed the one about.
And in
stadiums,
fairness,
though.
ships pitch, don't they? I suppose so. I bet there's something in.
Yeah, there must be something in that.
And I think there are.
A lot of the things we say are like it's dead language. It always has like a code to it. Like when you go to the airport and you go to the terminal, departure. It's all dead language in the land of the dead because we class it as the dead fiction. So it's like I always say, clues in the title. That's why you go to worship at a church. Worshipping. It's all the system, and they tell you in the words.
Yeah, worship.
Worship.
Yeah. But yeah. So, shall we move on? Weren't you going to talk about Bigfoot, Chris?
Oh no, I heard you mention, John, in one of your podcasts that you'd done an interview with a Bigfoot guy, but I couldn't find it.
It might be for members, but I can summarize the interview if you want. But that was really interesting.
Who was
that
it?
one.
What was his name?
Are you able to cut the interview because I can have a look? I don't want to slow things down.
Oh no, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. I'll put it in. You can put it in the description if you like the name. But this guy was I think they're called. There's a name for these critters. I don't know what they call them, but he's been studying that for like the last 30, 40 years. This guy, and he's seen a Bigfoot. He's seen one himself, and what he notices in all his body of work is that they appear and then they just vanish. That's what happens in these Bigfoot sightings. Yeah. And so, from his research, he believes that when these Bigfoots, what's happening is they're passing through like a membrane where they're just going into a different dimension, and they're popping back in. That's why they're not really leaving any trace of them behind, right? So either that or they're materializing and dematerializing and going into a different dimension. And that's been the common. Yeah. Well, no, he actually, I think he gave the example of Predator. It's a little bit like that. Yeah. And that's what he noticed, these Bigfoots. But he goes into skinwalkers, some of the other ones.
Wolfman, Dogman things. Yeah.
Dogman, Mothman. Yeah,
I love all that stuff. Yeah. You know what blew my mind was the Dogman thing, because I've read books on Bigfoot for years. I'd never heard of Dogman, and then all of a sudden I found this Dogman channel, and he's taking he's interviewing people about their Dogman, and these people are just like from America, and they don't sound like they're not making anything out of it, and it's almost like the repetitive, mundane stories that make it more believable, if you like. Because some of them, he'll interview them for an hour and they just saw a snout or something, but he'll talk about it, in detail, how it changed their life and that. I mean, had you heard of the Dogman? You guys, anyone
else?
I have, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, they've had them in England. They sound terrifying. They never really hurt anybody though, which is interesting as well. But or is that part of the 411 vanishing thing in the
States?
Yeah. I've got that book here actually. He wrote a great. I think you got me this done. That's a good one on Bigfoot, Tribal Bigfoot by David Pilates.
What does he say? Like, is there origins or where they're coming from?
He's an ex-copper. Have you heard of the 411 thing, where they're vanishing people in America?
No.
I'm trying to get Chris to try and get him on.
Yeah, he's the same guy, and he's written this book, but he's an ex-copper, so he basically just goes and interviews them. So again, it becomes kind of mundane how he interviewed, but then you see the patterns start to arise. So all these stories in here are all basically documentation of people who've had Bigfoot sightings. But you start to see patterns.
His YouTube channel's Missing 411, isn't it?
Yeah, Missing 411. Really interesting guy. But he's like I say, he's an ex-copper, and he does. He realised that loads of people went missing in the what they call them, national forests in America.
Yeah, and America. It's called Can-Am, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's called Can-Am.
But he started to see that, and also that
Be careful with your hand signals there, Chris. Jesus.
What did he do?
Clip it up.
I'm keeping that in.
But he realised that people were going missing in these national forests, and no one was interested. And he was trying to get the figures off the national forest, and they didn't have them. How many people went missing? So he started to put it.
But they were coming up with again getting stonewalled by the forest, because the police force that run these national parks and stuff like that. So they wouldn't have, so people going on walks, basically, like say 5 people, a bit like you envisage Scooby-Doo, and then one of them would go missing.
Yeah,
but they go missing in such a strange situation, like they'd be walking through a field and they'd lose sight of them. They get to the end of that path and they'll have disappeared. They'd just be like, I don't know, a walking stick or the lunchbox or something like that left there. And then 2 or 3 days later, after searching for them with dogs and helicopters and things like that, they'd find them within spitting distance of where they disappeared. Mostly 99% of them dead in water.
Oh, in water. That was the common theme, was it?
That was a common theme, is that they all disappear in or around water.
Another one as well, Dom. I've managed to get one because you can't get them in. They're quite expensive. I got it from eBay, missing fire. And he's written loads of these. This one's called "The Devil's in the Detail," but also he's pointing out in this one that there's always granite as well.
Yeah,
big chunk, just weird stuff, you know. And when they go missing, the weather changes, so it makes the search difficult. Very strange stuff. So he's written loads of these, and he's written a Bigfoot book as well. Interesting fella.
By the way, Lon Strickler was the guy that I had on.
Right, okay.
And I also found out that police officer that you were referring to, something Godfrey as well.
Yeah. But Alan Godfrey it was.
That's it.
I got his name, but we carried on talking, so
that was top.
Yeah.
What is it? Toppenenden?
Toppenenden. Toppenenden.
I can't say it.
Not Todd Morden.
Top of the morning.
Yeah. Toppenenden.
Anyway. Yeah. I find the Bigfoot thing fascinating. Brilliant stuff.
Have you looked into skinwalkers?
A little bit, the ranch and all that stuff. I can't, not as much as possible.
No, not as much.
Could do. I think maybe because they made that
not as cuddly, are they? Not as cuddly.
They
not
made
as
that
furry.
TV series about it, and it all just got a bit.
But if we think, I mean, we do. If you think with an open mind, that are they going to be experimenting with these things with special powers, or are these things coming in from other dimensions, are being called in? Either way, they're going to be both. If we think we're only things that float around that are in on this wherever it is, we're just delusional, aren't we?
Oh, that was a good one. Sorry, and it was when the Dogman one of the reoccurring things that happens is sometimes you hear a metal door slam. I always thought that was weird. So they'll hear a metal door slam, then the thing turns up. It's like, what? Like with the Bigfoot thing, there are always these weird nuances thrown in there, like the weather change or a UFO scene, and you just like, it gets weird, and the more you look into it, it just gets weirder and weirder and weirder.
Well, especially because the story keeps repeating itself, and all these people don't know each other.
Yeah,
you know, and it's not just adults that are going missing because people put it down to they committed suicide or whatever. It's children as well. There's kids going. You know, it's not just about. You know, he was pissed off with work, so he decided to go on a hike and never came back. A
good example, Fatty, which always stuck with me, was that story where he told where this kid went missing. I think he was 4 or 5 year old. Searched for him, couldn't find him anywhere. This couple got home and realised that this kid had gone missing because they were all over the news. And then they remembered seeing the kid at the top of a cliff, looking over at him. And when they looked up, it got snatched back like it vanished. But it was like 5 or 10 miles away from where he went missing, almost instantaneously. It's creepy stories like that.
It does always seem to happen in America, though. That's my only suspicion. Like this never happens in Yorkshire, does it?
Well, no, because he's put it together with Australia as well. It's called Can-Am Missing. So it's Canada and America initially, but he's also done some in Europe. There's a lot of people going missing near canals in
Manchester. There was a few in Manchester, wasn't there?
Also, the guy that did the smiley face killings as well.
William Ramsey.
William Ramsey. So that was all near water. As well, but anyway, we digress. a bit like the lady with the lady that went missing walking a dog the other year. That was near water.
Didn't turn up. Then they found her.
We found her in water. It's the same MO. Likewise, the guy that went missing in Greece, the BBC guy. They searched all that area, then found him on that same place.
Yeah, that is the same MO. You're right.
What's your conclusion to that? Have you thought of one?
I haven't got a conclusion. It's just that the same MO seems to be playing out. I don't think there is a conclusion. I mean, theory.
All
Sorry,
of the above
theory. What we've been saying is that the people are coming and snatching these people, or it's a government snatch, or they're being viewed. These snatchers are being viewed like Predator. It's being watched, and they know these things are happening, but they can't do anything about it. So all these missing people are part of this.
I don't know how many books he's written about it, David.
He's written a lot. Yeah,
he hasn't come up with a conclusion, has he?
No, he hasn't got a conclusion. No, he's just documenting it all. A bit like you're doing with your synchronicities. He's documenting with these people, and he's got hundreds of different stories of people that have gone missing that have even never been found. Like, stories like Chris said.
He's taken his cop sharpness and investigative mind and interviewing mind, and he's gone around interviewing people about the Bigfoot and this 411 thing, but it never comes to a conclusion, like I said. Though.
Yeah,
just interesting stuff.
All right, then, guys, should we call it a day there?
Yeah, good
could
stuff.
go on for hours,
no, we could do. Thanks for having us on, guys. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
And you.
And do you know what we've just been talking about there? The variety of different stuff that you can research. And that's why you can't become dogmatic or dogman. You can't become dogmatic. And pigeonhole yourself with one view, because it can always change. That's why, no matter, again, I'll, the shape of the earth, for instance. What happens if there's something else you find out? And you've put all your bets on one thing, whatever it is, that it could all change. All my research could be for nothing that I've done, because you found one little thing that tells you that it doesn't matter anymore. Your research is bullshit.
It's an eyeball, isn't it, John? I think we're in the eye of God.
Yeah, because I came up with a mad theory that we actually live on an eyeball.
Because whether I'm arguing whether it's flat or spherical, it's both. It's all things at all times.
Remember, though, lizards can lick their eyeballs. Reptilians lick their eyeballs, man, with a forked tongue.
I dread to think what Bono licks.
Yeah.
He's grim.
His own ego.
I've just done his genealogy. Bono's.
Oh yeah.
Did it last night, midnight. Do you know what happens every time I'm doing something like that? I remember doing Joanna Lumley, not physically, but I'm thinking Gloria.
Bono.
but the reason is because Joanna Lumley obviously came out calling everybody twats because they should have. I remember her interview was, well, if you go to Africa, you've got to have yellow fever jabber, and you've got to have it stamped in your passport that you've got it. So why wouldn't you have the COVID jab and have it stamped in your passport? That's what Joanna Lumley. But then when you look at her background, she's from a military background, the British Raj, all that, etc. But then her genealogy goes all the way back to the normal royals. What I'm finding is that I don't know if you've come across this, any of you guys, the House of Anjou, the ancient Norman house, apparently comes from Satan's daughter. Now, whether Satan was real or not, I don't really care. So I'm got no interest whether they're real or not. It's irrelevant if these people believe that it's real or want to use it as real. So a lot of the Plantagenet family came from the House Anjou, which I've probably destroyed in my Yorkshire accent. Anjou, Anjou. Yorkshire and French don't seem to go together. Lay miserable.
You made me look miserable.
Yeah. That is my only positive thing in my life, Chris.
What's make me miserable?
Yes. That is all my life is for.
You're doing a good fucking job.
I've become an expert in 56 years, Chris. Right then, on that note, okay, so
thanks for having us on, guys.
Yeah.
Really appreciate that.
Yeah,
make sure you send us all your links and stuff like that, and we'll put them in the show notes so people can find out who you are. Although they probably already know, John.
Fuck up your work, guys. Come on.
Yeah. Come on, get a grip.
Brilliant.
To get that one in. All right then. Yeah. Cheers, everybody. If you're going to join us in part 2, we'll see you there. If not, we'll see you next week. But.